Welcome to the Emily the Mystic Show. You're about to walk through a portal that leads to all things mystical, magical, spiritual, and supernatural. I'm your host, Emily. I'm a spiritual mentor, an Akashic Records practitioner and teacher, an intuition development coach, and a galactic channeler. If you're an old soul on a self-discovery and healing journey, you are in the right place. We'll be diving in deep to some of my favorite mystical topics, including manifestation, past lives, the spirit world, energy, and so much more. Get ready to embrace your inner mystic and live your most authentic life possible. The portal is now open. And my friend, I am so excited today to introduce you to the Fairies. Welcome to the Fairy episode on the Emily the Mystic Show podcast. Of course, I had to dedicate a whole episode of information to one of my favorite groups of spiritual beings, if we can possibly have a favorite group of spiritual beings, but I do, and they're the Fairies. And if you're like me and you were obsessed with the Fairies as a kid, personally, I played with them in my backyard. I ran around with my childhood best friend looking for them. I would write them letters. I read all the books about them. I went to fairy festivals and activities with my mom. I was so into the fairies as a child. And so if that was you, or maybe you've been super into them as an adult, maybe you've even been a fairy for Halloween, this episode is for you. We're going to be diving into who the fairies are, how to know if you're connected with them. Spoiler alert, if you like them, if you're interested in them, you've got a connection. And also how to begin practices to connect with them, to connect with their energy, to bring them into your life. This is the perfect time of year. As I'm recording this episode, it is April. When this is released, it will be the month of May. And this sort of spring, summer time of year is absolutely perfect to connect with the fairies, no matter where you live in the world. And I hope that this episode brings you so much joy. Now, I did film the content for this episode previously for my YouTube channel, so we're just going to go ahead and have that here for you to listen to. I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hey, beautiful soul, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Emily the Mystic, and I am so excited for today's video. We are taking a little bit of a break from my normally scheduled galactic guidance content for a much requested topic from so many of you in my community that I think you're really going to love today. And I can't wait to get into it and talk about the fairies today. So the fairies, I love working with fairy energy. This has been a journey for me that has been evolving and opening up over the course of really the last year more deeply. I do have an older video about the fairies that I will link below for you to check out because there is some additional information there. But this is an update kind of my own fairy journey and how that has evolved and how I want to help you with your own fairy journey as well, because I tend to attract a lot of souls into my practice, into my world, who have a connection to the fairy realm. And so if that's you, again, this video is designed with you in mind to deepen your connection to the fairy realms for yourself. So what are the fairies? There are actually different types of fairies. Fairies, all of them have their own different type of energetic vibration, their own different type of energetic frequency. And the group that I work with the most is a high vibrational, high dimensional group of guides that are connected to me and my soul. So that's who I work with. There are also fairy species that are third dimensional that exist here on planet Earth. I don't tend to work with those fairies as much, although I do feel their energy when I'm out in nature or hiking or walking through a forest or exploring a garden. But the group that I work with the most is a higher dimensional group, higher level of consciousness. They're above and beyond the 6th, 7th, 8th dimension. So they are, again, this higher vibrational consciousness and energy. And I love working with their energy because the fairies just have this
beautiful depth of wisdom, but they're so high frequency. They're just so full of love and joy and optimism and excitement for the future. And connecting with them can also be a really great way to connect with your inner child as well. So if you're already drawn to this video, it's likely because you already have a connection to the fairy realms. But here's how to know if you do have that soul level connection. So the way that I see it, we have connections to all different types of realms and species, galactic species, multidimensional species. So you can be both a starseed with cosmic and galactic connections, as well as have connections to the fairy realms, the dragons, mermaids, etc. So if you're connected to fairy energy, it's likely because you've had some fairy past lifetimes in different fairy realms, maybe even as a third dimensional elemental fairy here on planet Earth. And that's probably where your soul history is coming from and why you feel so connected to them. So if you already have a connection to them, you're going to feel a resonance with them. And you probably started feeling that in childhood. So for me, I was obsessed with the fairies from a very young age. I absolutely loved them. And my parents bought me all sorts of books about the fairies. I would go outside in my childhood backyard and I would play with the fairies. I would run around with my childhood best friend at the time, and we would pretend to be looking for fairies in the gardens and amongst the flowers. I would write them little notes about what was going on in my life. I would leave them little gifts, all sorts of things. I loved them so, so, so much. And of course, that has carried over into adulthood as well. So maybe you were obsessed with the fairies as a kid. Maybe you loved Tinkerbell, or you loved Disney movies and how fairies are represented in the Disney world. Or maybe you have a love of fairies because of different books that you've read or movies that you've watched. If that is true for you, if you're just naturally drawn to them, it is very likely that you've had fairy lifetimes and that you're very connected to this realm and connected to their frequency. So another really interesting part about this is to kind of look at the personality type of people who have a connection to the fairy realm. Fairy energy is very sweet. It's very sweet natured. It's very good natured. So if you have a connection to fairies, typically you're going to be a very sweet, kind-hearted, open-hearted, just generally kind person. Of course, there are fairies out there. They are reminding me that there are groups of fairies that are more mischievous, that are more of that trickster spirit energy. Those are lower dimensional groups that I personally don't work with. Maybe that is resonance for you, but for me personally, what I tend to see in my clients is just this naturally optimistic, positive, upbeat personality type, someone who tends to attract friends who like to be in their energy because of how high vibe you are and how fun it is to kind of be around you. You also may really enjoy being outside and spending time in nature. Maybe you're really connected to the outdoors. You live in a place that allows you access to hiking trails, nature, gardens, forests. I tend to see that people who have connection to fairy realms like places naturally where fairies hang out. And by where fairies hang out, I mean here in the earth realm, here in the third dimension. So places like forests, small bodies of water, beautiful lakes, creeks, beautiful bubbling brooks. You may really enjoy seeing little patches of mushrooms in the forest, or perhaps you love spending time on a beautiful trail or in a place where there are fresh flowers, like a beautiful garden. Maybe you love going to fancy gardens and walking around them. So anywhere in nature that kind of has that vibe where you feel like a fairy would hang out. If you love to go there yourself, it's very likely that you have a connection to fairy energy. And also, if you are connected to fairy energy, you have a natural tendency to want to take care of the very innocent people on this planet. So children and animals and anyone who has sort of an innocent quality to them, you naturally want to help them. You want to take care of them. You want to love them. You love having innocent, sweet, innocent souls in your life. and spending time with them, or they're just drawn to you. Like animals are drawn to you, children are drawn to you, children come up to you in the grocery store, like things like that, or dogs come up to you when you're walking outside and there are always dogs that are coming up to you. That's a really strong indicator that you have fairy energy, because fairies are, again, this high frequency, this beautiful, loving, sweet energy. So anything that is innocent and sweet, they are just attracted to you like moths to a flame or like a fly to honey, because they sense how pure you are. Fairy souls are very pure of spirit. They're very high integrity people and beings. It hurts you to the depths of your core to hurt another human being or to harm someone else. So typically I find that people with a connection to the fairy realms really struggle with people pleasing and conflict, because they don't want to upset anybody and they don't want to make anybody feel bad or hurt or upset anyone else. So my clients who tend to have fairy energy can really struggle with that, with getting their needs met and with making their own needs very clear, and making sure that they are getting help and asking for help and support from others, or talking about their feelings, or being vulnerable and sharing how they're really feeling with someone else, because of how it could be perceived and how it could come across. So that if that's you and you resonate with this video so far, just something to be aware of, that people pleasing and setting boundaries may be something for you to work on in this lifetime. People with fairy energy also tend to be a little bit lonelier and also tend to struggle a bit with feeling misunderstood. There is a natural tendency for fairy spirits to want to hang out in groups together with like-minded souls, but they don't really tend to intermingle with other types of species. So you're either hanging with your tribe, and if you don't have your tribe, you'd rather be alone, or you'd rather spend time with animals or your kids or babysitting children that you love, right? You'd rather that than have to spend time with people that don't get you and don't understand you. So just to say that it may be part of your learning and your lessons here on this planet to put yourself out there more and to get to know people, even who are of fairy energy, because that may help your soul evolve and grow. So just be aware of that tendency for loneliness and isolating yourself and hibernating and all of those things. I'm the same way. I get it. Also, fairies move very fast. They fly quickly. They flit around. They're here. And so for you, you may struggle with staying focused. Your mind may be racing. Maybe you have 10 different ideas and you have a really hard time directing your energy to focus on one. Or maybe you really struggle to stay focused on one task at a time and you're just all over the place. Maybe you have your hands in a lot of different pots and you're constantly working on different projects. You're always wanting to try new things. You're here, you're there, you're everywhere. And that's great. And I'm the same way. So I get it. But also, it can be hard in our third dimensional society to get anything done if you're starting 10 new projects and you're not completing any of them. So just a reminder to really be intentional with your time and your energy. And there are so many different things, holistic methods out there to help you with motivation and staying focused. So for me personally, I love breath work and meditation, of course, as a method that I do almost daily to help really calm my brain down and help my body to relax so that I can be more calm and present and focused. I also really love, there's a company that I'm not affiliated with, but I'm just going to drop this in here because it's really helped me. I also love the company Alexis Smart for her flower essences. The fairies right now are saying that flower essences are really good for people with fairy connections because, of course, the fairies love flowers. And so your frequency is going to work really well with a flower essence. So there are flower essences from this company, Alexis Smart, specifically for focus and energy that can be really, really helpful for fairy souls. I have tried them both. I love them. I'll leave the link for those below if you want to take a look at them. Again, I'm not affiliated, but they've really helped me, and that can really help focus and direct your energy. Finally, because you're flitting around, trying all these different things, and maybe you kind of act on your whims a little bit, you're like, oh, I feel called to go here. And this weekend, oh my gosh, I'm getting drawn to do this. And that's causing you to miss out on invitations from people, or you forget to respond to an invitation that you've gotten from someone, or you forget to follow up with a friend. Fairy souls can have a really hard time maintaining relationships because you can be a little bit all over the place. And because you act on your whims a little bit, that can cause you to read a little bit to other people as being flaky or not being the best, most trustworthy, most stable friendship. And that's okay because this is you. It's natural for you to be here, there, and everywhere. So it's going to be important for you to have relationships with people who get that and who know not to take it personally. There are people out there in this world who need really stable and secure friendships, who don't really change or evolve or grow. But for you, you need friendships with people who get that you have the need to change and evolve. Of course, I feel like all spiritual souls do. But for fairy souls, you move very quickly and you need people who can keep up with you. So remember that. And also remember, too, that you will find your fairy tribe. You will find them. It may take a little time, but now that we're activating you to this awareness of your fairy nature, now you know, and they may start popping up in your field more often from now on. Okay, so how can we work with them? How can we work with your fairy guides? We all have different fairy spirit guides. We're not all just connecting to the same fairy. There's so many fairies out there. And what I like to think of it when I connect to the fairies, if I'm not connecting to one singular fairy being, is that I'm connecting to high dimensional fairy consciousness. So when you are wanting to connect with them, ideally, I would like for you to have some sort of meditation and or automatic writing practice, some sort of spiritual practice that you can use to connect with different beings. So if you're used to connecting with archangels, for example, or maybe you're even used to connecting with your galactic guides, connecting with the fairies is going to be very similar. So it's all about the intention. So I want you to pick the practice that you're going to use to connect with them, whether that be automatic writing or going into the meditative state or just sitting in silence and reflecting and being open and being energetically open. I want you to go in with the intention of, I want to connect with my fairy spirit guide team. And when you state that intention, you can either say it out loud or be really clear in your mind or write it down if you're doing automatic writing. You're going to be directing the energy and helping to raise your vibration to be able to connect with them a lot more easily. So you're going to call them in by saying, I am ready to connect with my fairy spirit guide team. And then I want you to see what happens. So if you are in meditation, you may start to feel and sense their energy. If you're doing automatic writing, you may want to start writing and asking them questions, whatever your practice looks like. But again, you're going to make sure that you call them in. If it helps you, you may want to ask for a name of the being that you're connecting with or a name of the group that you're connecting with, how it feels like to connect with them. Fairies are very high vibrational, like I said. So they have sort of this buzzy, high frequency energy. They tend to hang out around the headspace. So when I feel them and when I sense them around clients, they are on the client's shoulders. They are in their hair. They are all around here in the headspace. And so you may become aware of them around your ears, your hair. Fairies love long hair. Fairies love being on your shoulders. They love just kind of sitting with you. And if you don't have long hair, it's okay. I'm just saying, they're telling me right now they love long hair and they love just being up here in the headspace. So you may sense them here or around your ears. You may even get buzzing in your ears. You may feel tingling. You may feel all sorts of sensations in your face and in the upper half of your body. So know that that's how you can be aware of when they're with you. When you first start connecting with them, the first few times, especially if you're not very advanced with channeling or connecting with guides yet, you will want to start to get used to feeling their energy. Again, they're very high vibrational. So it has taken me a long time to raise my vibration up enough to be able to connect with them. So for you, that connection may happen right away super fast, or it may take some time and effort to make that connection. If you feel like you're having trouble hearing them or seeing them or connecting with them, your vibration may not be high enough yet. But it takes practice, and that intention, once they know that you want to connect with them or you've been getting signs, they're more likely to be closer to you in your energy field, and therefore they're going to come in a lot more easily. So once you feel that connection to them, ask them questions, get to know them better. You may want to ask them, what can I know about you so I can get to know you better? How do we know each other? Is it from a past life? Is it from childhood? How do we know each other? How can you describe your personality to me so that I can understand you better? And what are some ways that we can work together? And fairies may give you a specific routine or ideas of practices to do in order to connect with them. So ask them a lot of questions. It can help to write down your questions ahead of time so that when you go into your meditation, you're prepared with what you want to ask. I also recommend being aware of whether you're connecting with them inside or outside. Fairies absolutely love the outdoors, like I was saying before. So for some of you, it may make more sense to connect with them outside in nature, in the garden, lying in the grass. So that may work for you. I live in a city and I do not have outdoor access. I don't have a balcony or anything like that. And going to the park near me is not really the best thing to do in the winter. It's just not super nice. And there aren't flowers or anything around. It just doesn't feel like fairy energy to me. So I connect with them in my own house from the comfort of my home. So if you can't have outdoor access, it's okay. You can still connect with them in your house. But for some of you, if you're really connected to nature, you live in a warm place, you may want to connect with them outside. Fairies also love music. They love music. They love singing. They love dancing. So if you are singing and dancing around your house, they will love that. They will come to that. They will flock to that. So put on some music that feels high vibrational to you, that you enjoy, that you can sing to, that you can dance to. They will be all around you when you're doing that. So do that. Fairies are also very childlike, so they love being goofy and silly. So when you are your silliest, most goofy, joyful self, they will also be right around the corner wanting to play with you. So being more of your inner child, being more playful, more childlike is also going to help them. It's also going to help you raise your vibration and help make that connection a little bit easier for you and for them. And finally, leaving them little treats. Fairies like to be treated to little things. They love sweet treats. They love fruits. They love nuts. They love candies. They love little cupcakes, cookies, anything that's little and sweet. They love it. So if you have a practice in your spiritual routine where you leave your guides offerings, you may want to leave your fairies some little fruits or nuts to say thank you for connecting with you. They also love glitter. So you may start to notice glitter everywhere. You may start to notice, for me, whenever they want to play with me, I will see glitter everywhere in my house. I hosted a retreat a few months ago, and I dropped my co-host's glitter that she had brought with her, and I dropped it, and there was glitter everywhere. And I knew that that was my fairy guides playing with me and wanting to play a little trick with me in a positive way, because it really made both of us laugh. So glitter, again, if you see glitter, having glitter around, wearing glitter, if you wear makeup, wearing a little bit of glitter. I'm wearing a sweatshirt today. You can't really see it, but it has glitter on it. And that definitely reminds me of them and their energy. So anything with glitter that's pretty, that's, sparkly, beautiful. They love my long nails. They love, wearing pretty jewelry. They are attracted to anything sparkly and pretty. So if you like those things, surround yourself in them, regardless of what your gender is. That doesn't matter. But what matters is having things in your reality, wearing things that bring you joy, that make you happy, and that are sparkly and fun and playful. The fairies love that. They'll be like, yay, we're here. Their energy feels like this. It's very fun. It's very high vibrational. It's very Disney movie in a lot of ways. And so if you really resonate with that, I hope you enjoy connecting with them. Have fun with this practice. And this is not a serious practice. Fairies are not a serious group to work with. If you want a serious group to work with, it is not them. So go find yourself a different group of beings to have on your spirit guide team. I also want to make sure that I mention, because I forgot to include this in the main audio that you just listened to, that the fairies also love crystals. They're huge lovers of the crystal kingdom. And so, another really great way to develop a connection with them is to start incorporating crystals into your life. You may already be a crystal lover. If you're listening to this episode, I tend to find that people who like the fairies also like crystals. They just really go hand in hand. You probably have a household full of crystals, let's be real. The fairies really like high vibrational, high frequency crystals. So we're talking about things like celestite, aura quartz, Lemurian quartz, smoky quartz, amethyst, blue calcite, citrine, rainbow fluorite, crystals of that nature that have that very sort of etheric, celestial, sort of energetic look and feel to them. The fairies love those. Rose quartz is another one. Those are just a few. Anything that when you look at it or feel it, touch it, connect with it, that reminds you of the fairies and fairy energy is going to be a great crystal for you to work with. So what you can do is set the intention that that's going to be your fairy crystal. You can hold the crystal in your hands, close your eyes, and set the intention to meaningfully connect with the energy of the crystal, and set the intention that that crystal is going to facilitate fairy connection for you. So that the next time you go on to hold on to it, you're wanting to connect with the fairies, that crystal is going to basically open up sort of an energetic exchange that's going to help you connect with the fairies even more, because crystals are such a high vibration and we need to raise our vibration in order to connect with the fairies. So having that crystal can be a beautiful portal, a beautiful way of being able to facilitate that connection. And that's really all that you need to do. And of course, again, if you really love crystals, really connect with them, have them in different parts of your house, maybe ones that remind you of fairy energy. If you've got a lot of plants in your house, like I do, maybe sprinkling your crystals along with the plants or even putting them in the soil of the plants that you have. If you have a garden, if you are grateful enough, lucky enough to have a backyard, I don't, I live in a city, you can have a little fairy garden out there as well, where you can strategically place your crystals, or should I say intuitively place your crystals in a way that really feels good to you in order to attract the fairies and help call them in. Again, really just sitting with your crystal, connecting with it, setting the intention that it's going to help you with that fairy connection is going to be enough to help that be a portal of openness and connection for your fairy team of guides. So I really hope that you enjoyed this episode today. I hope you learned a lot. I hope it helped you connect with the fairies. Remember that this is a very intuitive practice. So whatever you feel drawn to, whatever you feel called to do is going to help you connect with them. One really awesome opportunity to connect with them that I cannot wait to share with you in this episode is that I am, and some of you may already know this, but I am hosting a fully fairy-themed retreat in just about a month away, in the month of June, over the summer solstice weekend in Asheville, North Carolina. The reason why I picked this location, I was super intuitively drawn to it. It's a very spiritual city. And also, there are quartz crystal mines that exist on the land there. So the land has the frequency of quartz crystal. As we know, fairies love crystals, just from just what I just shared with you. So this is a really great place that's going to be a beautiful portal for that fairy connection. So I cannot wait to facilitate a beautiful spiritual group experience with a group of women. We're going to be doing so many fairy-themed activities. We're going to be going on a waterfall hike to check out some of the waterfalls and the local area in Asheville. We're going to be going to the hot springs to have a nice relaxing time there. We're going to be, the fairies, as you know, love glitzy, glamorous things. We're also going to be doing some shopping in downtown Asheville, enjoying our time there, as well as doing, of course, spiritual practices back at the retreat house where I will be connecting, channeling the fairies. I'll be leading you through some different fairy meditations and exercises to help you foster a relationship with both them as well as with your inner child. Because as you know, the fairies are very connected to the inner child. And for some of us, especially if you're feeling really kind of stagnant and bored and kind of ho-hum in your work, maybe in your business or also in your job, maybe even in your relationships, you're just kind of feeling blah. The fairies really help reawaken that spirit of your inner child, that play, that fun, that creativity. So this weekend is really going to help pull that out of you and is going to help you play again. I know a lot of you in my audience, you're high achieving people, you have a hard time having fun and playing. And so this retreat is designed specifically with that intention in mind. It's just going to be pure high frequency fun. So come hang out with us. We're going to have a really, really good time. If you want more information about it, I'm going to leave the link below in the show notes. All you have to do is go to my website. There's a form for you to fill out. I immediately get an email when you fill out the form. I'm going to send you an email back with the pricing and the different rooms that are still available. We still have a couple of spots open, so take a look at the rooms. Feel into which one is a good fit for you, respond back to the email, and we'll get you set up with your payment plan of choice. Of course, you can always pay in full for this, or that I have multiple payment plan options available so we can get you all set up for this incredible retreat experience. It is all inclusive, so all of the food is taken care of, the activities, the home. The only thing that you have to be responsible for is your travel to the airport or driving, whatever you choose to do, as well as your rental car or Uber that you take to get from the airport to the retreat house. So you're responsible for transportation. I'm responsible for everything else. All you have to do is put in your deposit, sign up. We're going to have a great time. I cannot wait for the summer solstice. So come hang out with me and the fairies in June. I'll leave that link below in the show notes. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy your day. Go out, connect with the fairies, get outside, enjoy the sunshine, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.